In Polish culture, women have always held a sacred and powerful role. Through centuries of hardship, partitions, war, and exile, it was so often women who carried the soul of the nation forward. They were the quiet guardians of our culture. In their homes, they preserved our language. They taught the prayers. They sang the songs. They kept alive traditions that made us who we are today. Even when Poland disappeared from the map, Poland lived in the hearts of its people. And very often, it was a mother or a grandmother, a mama or a babcia, that made sure that the next generation remembered who they were. Tonight, we honor those women. Women who crossed oceans with courage. Women who endured uncertainty and sacrifice. Women who arrived in a new country and built lives, families, and communities from the ground up. They carried their culture with them like a treasure. And because of them, we stand here tonight with pride in who we are. But tonight is also about the women in this very room. Women who continue that legacy in their very own way, through their work, their families, their creativity, strength, and love for our community. And tonight especially about the young women standing before us. Our beautiful models are from Orchard Lake St. Mary's and from Polonia, and they represent something incredibly important. They are the future. They are students, dentists, lawyers, engineers, artists, teachers, and leaders. Watching them tonight reminds us that our culture is not something frozen in the past. It is alive. It grows and it evolves with each generation. This evening also reminds us that fashion can tell a story. Through fabric, design, and craftsmanship, we see history reimagined and heritage given new life. Pozwólcie Państwo, że powiem jeszcze kilka słów po polsku. Dzisiaj wieczorem świętujemy kobiety. Kobiety, które były przed nami i które z odwagą przekazały nam naszą kulturę, naszą wiarę i naszą tożsamość. Kobiety, które są tutaj dzisiaj. I młode dziewczęta, które będą tą historię przekazały i pisały dalej. To właśnie kobiety są strażniczkami naszej kultury. I would also like to take this moment to extend our deepest gratitude to the Royal Eagle Foundation, whose generous sponsorship has made this evening possible. Their commitment to supporting Polish culture, education, and community so beautifully aligns with the mission of our Polish Institute here at Orchard Lake Schools as well. Together, our organizations believe that heritage matters and that it is our responsibility to carry it forward.
And this being International Women's Day, I wanted to reference Professor Maria Sklodowska-Curie, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. She was the first person to win a Nobel Prize twice. She was the only person to win a Nobel Prize in two different scientific fields. As for many Poles, Professor Maria spent much of her life living outside of Poland. Professor Maria is an apt ambassadress for the Polish diaspora. The Polish diaspora, or Polonia, is one of the largest and most widespread in European history, and we're one of the top runners in worldwide. There's 23 million individuals who identify as being Polish living outside of Poland. In the United States, there are 8.6 million of us Poles. Well, I'm assuming we're Polish Americans, but you may not be, but if you're here tonight, you're Polish. But that 8.6 million represents 1/4 of the population living in Poland. Significant numbers. Our indomitable Polish-American character has literally been hammered into being by the unimaginable history and experiences of both our Polish and Polish-American families. All too often, our families have literally nothing but their Polish spirit. All too often, our families had nothing but their Polish spirit. Polonia has never stopped adapting, evolving, reinventing, and redefining itself. If you are of Polish blood, there is no alternative. Polonia thrives wherever we find ourselves, and no matter what others try to do to us. That spirit is the powerful heritage our Polish-American families gave us. And I sometimes wonder what my father or grandfather would think about how far we come from that boat trip. Here this evening, with this event and its profound significance, we pay homage to that Polish-American spirit. On behalf of the Royal Eagle Foundation, we are thrilled to co-sponsor with the Polish Institute of Culture and Research this event that exemplifies that Polish-American spirit.
I was lucky enough to be surrounded by some of the most inspiring women you can imagine, women who helped build and nurture the Detroit Polish community that so many of us cherish today. Women like Bronia Olejarczyk. Where are the Bańkowskis? Here, yes. Loved your babcia, jak bronia to Polonia, right? The famous saying. I was lucky enough to grow around, women like Helena Żmurkiewicz, Irena Ładak, Gina Falkowska, Halina Konwiak, women who survived unimaginable tragedies and losses of World War II, came to the United States carrying little more than their faith and their memories, rebuilt their lives from the ground up, and then spent the rest of their lives giving back to this community while preserving the Polish culture, our traditions, our language, and our faith for the generations that would follow. So this first song is a tribute not only to my babcia Irena, but to all of them. And as the music begins, I invite you to remember the people in your own lives who have carried these traditions forward, because tonight, through beauty, culture, and memory, their legacy continues.
was basically almost a year in the making. As you may have seen, I had 28 looks that I had to compile for the girls. So it wasn't just making sure that the outfits fit, it was making sure that the music, we had enough music for 28 girls to walk the runway. So that was a bit tricky. And then also, I wanted this whole theme to be actually centered around our greatest generation. This whole show was inspired by my babcia Irena. The last year was very exciting. I did so many festivals all over the country. I think one of my favorite ones was the Polish Festival in Milwaukee, which I'll be doing again this year. I traveled to Los Angeles. I traveled to Orange County, Sacramento. Of course, the Sweetest Heart of Marion, Detroit is one of my favorite festivals in the Midwest. And I was basically have been working on producing as much as I can for the show. I was chosen by the Polish Embassy in Washington, D.C. to represent Poland in an exhibit titled Fashioning Power, Fashioning Peace. And it takes place at the end of April and the beginning of May at the Woodrow Wilson House in Washington. So I'm so honored to be chosen, and I'm actually going to be flying out to Washington to see the exhibit in person. Half of my models were from St. Mary's. They were students, and then the other half are girls that I've been working with for years. So I thought it was important to kind of do a mix of all ages, all shapes, all sizes, just so everybody can just feel beautiful walking the runway.
This aligns with our promoting Polish-American Poles of Polonia here in the United States. There's plenty or sufficient attention paid to our heritage and traditions, but as far as our evolution as Polish Americans, we feel that promoting activities, events such as this, helps us define the Polish character. I am very content with the event and what it does, the excitement. You can hear the excitement.
Please, let's give the ladies another round of applause. It is with great pleasure that I say this is our Polonia. This is Orchard Lake St. Mary's, and this is what we have to be proud of. I think everyone who came before us and the children that come in the future as well will be so proud of what we've done and what we've brought forward today. I'm immensely grateful for this opportunity to share with you ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being brave.